How's it going, folks? Recording another Chihuahua here. This will be my last Chihuahua. There's 25 max entry, and this is my 25th draft, so no more of these to do. Nice to have a time box tournament before the schedule came out, so I've been kind of avoiding doing the puppy. So I really want the week 17 information. Might do some puppies now that my Chihuahua is filled up, just because, there's no way I'll get enough in if I don't. So we're going to have quite a few different options here from the 1.02. We'll see if I get Lamb or McCaffrey. I have two strategies I've been really trying to get to from this 102 spot. So we'll see what's available for us. I will probably only be taking two wide receivers in my first three picks because there's a couple different things I want to try, but don't hold me to that just in case I could change my mind still. So one of the things I might do in this draft, if I decide to, is just to build a Josh Allen team on the side of the board by starting with Josh Allen in round 3 early. He does occasionally fall into, in round 3. He does occasionally fall into round 4 around this area, pick 41, 42 on rare occasions, but I've never seen him get down to this area. Not that it really matters because it's a time box tournament anyway, but I think the Josh Allen teams that are built on this side of the board are just way easier to build and way better than the teams on the side of the board. In the middle, you can catch a little bit of luck, the best of both worlds, but it's pretty hard at this point to get Kincaid to fall back to in round 5, who's probably the guy you want the most. Then you end up overpaying by a bit for some of the other weapons, so might do a Josh Allen thing here. I did it once on the left side of the board in the Chihuahua already, but I did it with Tyreek Hill because Allen and Tyreek are in the same division, so. Nothing too crazy in this draft other than it's kind of nice for the 112 to get A.J. Brown, in my opinion. I have A.J. Brown ranked 9th, so. One thing I want to try to do on the right side of the board some is when I start off A.J. Brown and Harrison, then go with Lamar and Andrews. But with A.J. Brown, it can be a bit tough because you don't really want to pass Hurts to do Lamar. So maybe if I had a Puka Harrison start, or I've seen Puka Garrett Wilson stars or Puka London. Maybe when I get this start, I might look to do a Lamar Andrews here. Obviously you can get Lamar round 3 Lamar round 4 and Andrews round 5, some in the middle. But Andrews doesn't fall far enough to get it over here. And I think, the elite quarterbacks and elite tight ends are mispriced a bit. So when you reach for them, it's not really that bad. You're probably getting fair value. Kyron's off the board, so that probably would have been the running back I might have had interest in if they fell to the CeeDee Lamb spot. I've got quite a bit of A-Chain, and I think I would rather try out either getting Laporta or Josh Allen with a 2 wide receiver start. Still going to be a little open-minded here. I'm pretty sure my other Josh Allen team started with Nico. So let's take Debo here. Wonder who will be available for us at this pick. If it's Nico, I might change my mind. Obviously, Nico Waddle's neighbors are all interesting. So those are all pretty strong reasons to not do the Josh Allen thing. All right. So since Nico fell, I'm actually just gonna go with the 3 wide receivers. So forget what I said about doing the Josh Allen thing. If Nico would not have been there for that pick, I would have went with Josh Allen. But I'm not getting enough Nico. I'm not getting enough Stroud. This opens up the chance that I could end up with like Tank and Stroud with my next 2 picks. I'd have interest in that. So obviously that's no guarantee. But Tank has been falling a ton in some of these drafts. Gotten him in round 5 like multiple times. So Stroud's usually around the turn. I mean, obviously the Diggs drafter can. Who's this guy? He could like end up cutting Stroud off. So might not have a chance at him, but I wanted to take Nico there. So we've changed the plan a bit. There's been some pretty big falls by running backs. I've actually drafted some running backs in the middle rounds. Like, I pretty much say on all my videos I don't really look to do. I got Josh Jacobs 8 picks past ADP. I got James Cook 13 picks past ADP. Derrick Henry 13 picks past ADP. So like those are the times where I'm going to look to grab one of those running backs in the middle rounds is when I get some sort of crazy ADP value that actually like makes it worth my while to go away from my normal strategy of like all 0 and hero RBs. A couple of those ended up being actually the James Cook team ended up being a hero RB team anyway because I didn't have a running back already, so I just like used hero James Cook and that was fine. The other 2 teams, I ended up going with 2 wide receivers early. 2 running backs early. One I got like 4th round Josh Jacobs to go with Brees or Bijan. I forget which one. And then the other one I started Jonathan Taylor in round 2 and then Derrick Henry pretty deep into round 4. So what I did on those teams is like just kind of kick the can on the onesie positions a bit. One team I booted down and ended up with like Love and Jaden Daniels. See if I can find that team. Here's the Derrick Henry team. Let's take a look at that. So like obviously it's a pretty crappy situation when you end up with 2 running backs early because of how strong 0 running back is right now and hero running back is right now. But like I'm very, very rarely like I think I have 3. No, not even 3. But anyway, I rarely ever have 2 early running backs. So I don't mind doing it occasionally when you get something like this 11 pick fall on Derrick Henry. So what I did here to kind of make up for it is push quarterback down a little ways. So I didn't get a quote unquote elite, but I got like 2 really, really good quarterbacks, and I think Jaden Daniels for fantasy could be elite. Cut back on a running back. So, most of my hero running back teams are 6 running back. I do occasionally get a room that I like so much that I end up going with 5 in the hero build. My 0 running back rooms are either 6 or 7. So we stopped at 5 here, which gave us a 9th pick at wide receiver. One of the keys to me actually having done this pick besides the fall of Derrick Henry is that I love Malik Neighbors. So like being lucky enough to get him in round 3, it kind of opened up the door to spend this extra pick because I felt like I had like a round 2, a 1 and 2 wide receiver here. Then I just tried to get like a bunch of upside and correlation. So we got Dotson to go with Daniels. Addison like was kind of an annoying pick because I already had Justin Jefferson. I don't love having 2 on the same team. Being that I went with 9, that bothers me a little bit less. But yeah, I do heavy stacks. There's nothing wrong with Jefferson and Addison, but I just don't like Addison that much as a pick himself. CJ Stroud is available. I guess I'll do that. Doesn't even really interest me all that much. Yeah. Let's take Pickens. I really was kind of hoping to get a double if I was going to go with Stroud. Still might go with Stroud if he doesn't go to this guy, J Money guy. But I was kind of indecisive, so I might just go with like Mark Andrews, and so I'm not going to want to take Dak, and I'm not going to want to take Dak and Stroud. I kind of feel like I would rather just have Dak. I think Mark Andrews is the most mispriced player in the whole tournament, so don't mind doing that. A little in division correlation here with Pickens and Andrews. So if Dell would have fallen down here, I would have taken Dell. Then I would have hoped to God that this guy didn't take Stroud, and I would have got the double. But being that we're only had the option of only Nico to go with Stroud, I think it was all right to just send him on his way. Probably end up going here to the Diggs person. They're probably be pretty pleased. I hate. Well, if they didn't even take him. So I guess I'll probably stop. Stroud drop will. No, stops at Walmart. Don't do this, guys. This is bad. This team is dead, unfortunately, for them. I know it seems like dramatic to say that, like, oh, they just took 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. So you like cannot get by with 1 wide receiver in the first 5 rounds. Like, you at minimum need 2, and like if you only take 2, you need to do something to make up for it. Like this team right here is one of the rare teams where I've only had 2 wide receivers through 5 rounds because I went, Jefferson, Taylor, Neighbors, Henry, Mark Andrews. And then, we did go 9 wide receivers and we attacked quite a few in the middle rounds here. But this wide receiver group is still kind of like, it's good, but it's not amazing or anything. I wonder if I could find the Josh Jacobs team. Here's the James Cook team where I used him as a hero after he fell 11 picks. So it's kind of like a hero RB room. It's a pretty decent room. Like everything on this team ended up pretty strong because I took this faller. Wide receivers probably maybe like our weakest point. We do have like a pretty decent top 4 in my opinion, but I like Hopkins a good bit. Some people don't. And like I don't mind Palmer and Franklin. Tez and Joe and Hyatt are kind of like wishing well type picks where you're hoping for them to like have a big week 17 as opposed to really have like a great season. See if I can find the Josh Jacobs team too. That's the only other team. Oh, there it is. It was with Brees. Sorry, I want to check back here, see what we got going on. So yeah, this one we got 7 pick fall on Josh Jacobs, 7 or 8 pick fall on Josh Jacobs. Pretty strong running back room here, even though we only have 5. This is another team. See, I ended up kicking quarterback down again this time, and ended up with the Love Daniels combination again, which is a pretty good combination. This one I only ended up with Christian Watson, a wide receiver for Green Bay, but I tacked on Musgrave. My very last pick of this draft, I was undecided on what to do with. Like, I kind of felt like I could do anything. Like, running back felt like it was good enough. This receiver group is pretty strong because, like, I really like Leggett and Baker. So having them as 5 and 6, even though we didn't spend a ton of draft capital on 5 and 6, I love these 2 players. So I was okay sticking with 8 there. So kind of pure luxury pick with the very last pick. going to take Dak with my next pick. So I'm going to take Stevenson here. I don't I don't think there's any way this guy's taking Dak when he has Mahomes. So Stevenson is my favorite running back out of that group. If he does take Dak, that would be kind of funny. So now we'll take Dak. Could have went with a fifth wide receiver there. I don't like how your zero running back rooms turn out on this left side of the board if you don't take one in round 7. Like we took one in round 6 here, but it was essentially the same thing as taking one in round 7 because we knew we were going to take Dak. I don't always do this. Like I will definitely just push it and like have a crappier zero running back room. It's fine. Not a big deal. I do it all the time, but seeing as we use, picks 1 through 4 on wide receivers, I don't know. Just decided to go with Stevenson on this one and have a little bit stronger running back room. Like when I take Stevenson here, I'm more apt to end up with a 6 running back, 0 running back room, which is cool, but can also end up with 7. So back to this team. So yeah, basically I took Jonnu in round 18 as a complete luxury pick just because there was a pretty decent ADP fall. So like he probably won't be in, lining up with another team that looks exactly like this team. But I was pretty happy with this team taking the Josh Jacobs fall. So you see you can like actually put together some of these teams where you do take some ADP value on the mid-range running backs. And that's why like one of the things that makes it so key to try not to get too crazy about taking dual running back teams, like running back 1 in round 1 and 2, because then you like cannot take these fallers because you just get too far behind a wide receiver. I do have a plan to take a very specific pairing of running backs. It just has not lined up for me yet. So what I'm kind of looking for in that build is I'm going to try to get is Christian McCaffrey at pick 1, and then I want to get Kyron to fall here and have Malik Neighbors available. And then I want to try a dual RB start with McCaffrey and Kyron, where I probably build out only a 4 running back team. And I'm going to push quarterback real far. So I'll probably reach for either Terry McLaurin or I do with Terry McLaurin. I don't have to push quarterback as much because I could get Daniels at a reasonable price. But I'll probably do one of Kirk, Terry, or I might even pull Calvin Ridley all the way up to this 5 pick so I can open myself up for Levis, who I like as one of the stronger late QBs. So that's how I plan to kind of build the dual running back team out of this one slot. I've already done some with A-Chain back in the pre-draft process, so I wasn't as interested in doing it with A-Chain right now. I would rather do it with Kyron. So I'm kind of waiting for that opportunity to present itself. 5 picks away. Obviously, the running backs are really good. Boo. Was definitely hoping Turd Ferguson made it to us. But we didn't really need him with Mark Andrews. It probably would have been unwise to spend our capital that way. The 0 RB candidates are kind of getting sucked up here. I'm definitely either taking Deontay or Mostert in this. No consideration being given to other players. Deontay's a guy I like a good bit. I never get him because I just like other players in that range and I'm often picking other positions. So I'm going to go ahead and take Deontay here. Pretty happy to get him as our wide receiver 5. Now it really doesn't feel like we paid up for this Ramondre pick. James Conner is a guy I'm pretty much not drafting right now. I don't love Benson either, especially taking him over Connor. Could take Connor here. Kind of prefer Javonte. guess I'll take Connor because I really just don't take him, and it's like a little bit of an ADP fall. I don't like taking Benson over Connor, even though of the two, I prefer to have Benson on my team, but that's because he used to be a lot cheaper than Connor was. So very displeased with that pick, but I don't want to have zero Connor. I'm like, this is one of the spots that made the most sense to me that I've run into recently. So as far as stacking goes, we could look to get one of the running backs on our team to go with Dak. We could look to get Brandon Cooks. It's probably a team where we don't really want to be taking Brandon Cooks as ADP, but kind of see what is available for us. Don't really know what I'm doing at quarterback 2, I'll be honest with you there. I've currently no plan. I end up with Dak and Drake May a lot, so I wouldn't hate not doing that. This could be a Justin Fields team, which would be pretty cool and interesting. I've only drafted one Justin Field post draft and was in a 3 QB build with Baker and Levis, which I liked quite a bit the way the team sort of fit together. If I did Dak with Fields, I would probably only do 2 quarterbacks and just pray to God that like Dak holds the fort, Fields ends up taking the job away from Russ Wilson. For fantasy, Fields has just such a high ceiling that he's worth some amount of exposure to in these tournaments as a late QB because you're basically getting like around, well, let's say this year. Fields would probably be like around 7-8 QB this year if he was a starter. Because that's where Kyler goes. So I would imagine he would be somewhat similar price to Kyler. Trevor Lawrence and Fields ended up getting like pretty overpriced last year, I think. Like obviously Fields have the ceiling, so like it's a little bit hard to say overpriced because had he hit the ceiling, you certainly wouldn't have felt like he was overpriced, but the odds were against it. Purdy goes. He was an option for another quarterback. It's pretty sad to see Singletary go. Running back options I like are kind of drying up some. Could pair Zeke with Dak. That's a pretty reasonable thing to do. I probably would not take Zeke over some of the other options we currently have on the board. I'd probably take Eckler, Gus, and Chase Brown all above Zeke. They're all ranked above Zeke. Eckler's a guy I take like none of, so pretty kind of cool to get him. James Conner on the same team, basically. That way, if I get completely hosed by them being good this year, I have a team that has both. But see if Eckler makes it to 119. Chase Brown goes. Gonna take Eckler, Gus, and then I might consider taking Zeke with my next pick. If Zeke goes to the turn, that's fine. Could pull Dowdle up. We could see if Dowdle falls. All right, let's take Eckler. Like I don't ever take him. And this is a pretty big ADP value. Like I said, this is my first Connor share since the draft and probably my third Eckler share. So if both these guys end up smashing, I'm in deep shit for my portfolio. So at least I'll have this one team that can maybe make a run with the two of them. Could do Gus or Zeke. Zeke correlates. It's probably a similar bet to Gus, so I don't know. Could go down to Blake Corum. Gross. So our running back group is 745 years old on average. So it'll definitely be a 6 running back team because like we've these bets are like not bets that I like obviously, but they're the bets we've made. And if these guys work out, then like I don't. This is a 6 running back team. It doesn't need 7. Still have absolutely no plan whatsoever on what to do. Quarterback. Maybe we get Fryermuth to fall back to us at pick 143. Do like a Fields thing. Could do like another May team with Dak. We do have Stevenson. I have ended up with those 2 paired a lot. I just don't even know what else there is for options. If we would have taken Javante over Connor, maybe then we could have ended up building some sort of thing for Bo Nix. Wouldn't hate doing a thing with Bo Nix because I do like Dulcich a little bit, and if I am gonna bother with Dulcich, I want on a team like that has someone like Mark Andrews, where my team is maybe not drawing dead. Other option is if Leggett makes it all the way to our pick, we could do a Bryce Young thing. I don't think Leggett will make it to our pick. Got to keep in mind, I do not want Rico Daddle on this team. Now that I have Zeke. This is the oldest running back room of all time. It's so disgusting. I unfortunately have a good bit of Zeke because he's where his price is. If he ends up being the starting running back for Dallas, it's just like, ugh. But I don't know. He's sort of a necessary evil of the 0 running back strategy. Like he just fits in very well, so that you know you're getting some decent production. Of course, they could still trade for somebody or something, and then maybe he's not even the starter. But right now, I think you just have to draft as if you think he is. Probably be splitting some work with Dowdle, but I do like Dowdle as well, but I like Zeke more. I have quite a bit of Kamani Vidal now. He's up to like 20%. Definitely won't be reaching for him, but I'll have some interest if he makes it to pick 167. Young running back that could end up with a pretty big role for the Chargers. Do we make this a Fields team? Where's Roman Wilson go? 159, so he probably won't make it back to us. Right now, I have my eyes on Leggett and Fryermuth. I do think Dotson is a guy that could bounce back this year because his style of play, in my opinion, is very similar to like Addison and Tyler Lockett, where he wins downfield. And last year with the Eric Bieniemy offense, they just were not throwing downfield much. Uh, so I do think Dotson is quite a bit more talented than Luke McCaffrey, where Curtis Samuel was like a darling of the other coaching staff. And like I said, they didn't really throw downfield. So Dotson had more air yards in 12 games in 2022 and like 14 yards per catch compared to 10 yards per catch last year and less air yards in 17 games than in the 12 games in 2022. So definitely a usage issue, my opinion. Guess I'm just going to take Fryermuth here. There's a whole bunch of decent running back options, so Troy Franklin is someone I was going to be interested in, but so we've got the Pickens Freiermuth set up if we want to do a Fields thing with this team. Which I wouldn't hate. We can even do some sort of 3 QB with Bryce Young if we want to, but I don't know. It doesn't seem super appealing to me. Interested in Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, or Ty Chandler. Do I have like any real reason to pick one of the other? Nothing Minnesota going on, nothing Miami, nothing Green Bay. All right, let's take Jalen Wright then. I think if A-Chain goes down now, they've got a guy to fill the same role that A-Chain kind of was playing in the offense. So Jalen Wright, I think, has a pretty massive ceiling considering his skill set and the way it fits into the Dolphins' offense. Obviously, like he could just be a 0 if neither person ahead of him gets hurt. But I do think he could fill in maybe for Mostert or A-Chain if one gets hurt. Probably only draft one more running back. $192, $193. Fields is at 195, so I might reach for Fields depending on like what else I'm picking between. Not drafting any more tight ends since I have Freiermuth and Andrews. I have a lot of this pairing, unfortunately, just the way it falls. 2 players I'm pretty in on. I've been like pushing it more often, going with like Juwan in this spot. Not Freiermuth, but like I said, my quarterback 2 options are pretty thin in this particular draft. Probably would have taken Purdy if he would have fallen to me in that one round where it was possible, but I think the Ayuk manager cut him off. Could go with Dobbins. I think he's still like priced just way too high. Like, how can Dobbins be priced above Algier? That's outrageous to me. He goes. I have 1 Dobbins share. I got it in round 17, so he fell like 40 picks past AVP, and I was finally like, okay. I'll do one of these. Would love if Jalen Polk fell to us, because then I could not be as worried about Fields getting sniped. Because at that point, I'd just be like, all right, I'll just take, whichever of Fields or May gets to me. And if neither do, then Bryce Young should. It would just be kind of hard to get locked at quarterback if I get Polk. Kendre and Algier are my top running backs on the board. Don't want Gibson because we have Stevenson. Bucky Irving I like quite a bit. Roman Wilson goes. Oh, don't make me pick between Polk and Kendre, please. But also don't take both of them. Cool. Polk or Kendre? Kendre or Polk? I know this person behind me is like super itching to get a running back, so. He only has 3. Okay, Kendre goes, so now it's not a question. I'm just going to go with Polk. I am going to push quarterback since we have like all these options now. Like I've got a double set up for Drake May. I've got a double set up for Fields. I've got Deontay set up to go with Bryce Young. So if like all of them go before our next pick, then whatever. That is life in that case. Do you want to go with Tyrone, Tracy, Baker, Corley? I'm going to go Tracy here and just lock up. Be done at running back. Plays in the same division as Dallas, so it could be a Week 17 correlation there. We have also Washington in that division. That one was like could have went either way. I could have taken Baker to set up, with Stevenson, Polk, and Baker all to go with Drake May, but like I have so much Baker, and I have a lot of double stacks with Baker. So if May was like my number one guy that I was trying to take this draft, I would have taken Baker. But since I'm kind of hoping that I end up with Fields and not May, I think it made sense to go ahead and take Tracy, who I like a lot, and I'm not getting as often as I would like. This is a pretty blah zero RB room, but sometimes that's what wins with zero RB is a pretty blah zero RB room. We could obviously take two quarterbacks if we want because we sort of have an extra spot to play with, but I think Dak is a strong enough quarterback one to just try to carry someone. Because like if Dak is bad or gets hurt, this team's fucked regardless because we have CD Lamb, So we're already in an extreme amount of trouble if Dak gets hurt or sucks. We also could still set up Daniel Jones with Wandell. We'd have Wandell and Tyrone Tracy stack pieces for Daniel Jones. Don't think Wandell makes it to us, but just a thought. I have quite a bit of Drake May, so that's why I'm kind of hoping I get Fields in this one. Because I've only drafted Fields once. It was on a 3 QB team with Levis and Baker Mayfield, and I think it was a pretty nice team. I don't mind Bateman or Demarcus Robinson. I'd rather go for a higher ceiling play with McMillan. I think McMillan is a really, really talented guy. I mean, he was outproducing Rome Odunze in the same offense in 2022, dealt with injuries last year. The other thing that's nice about McMillan is like he can literally play anywhere. He can play slot, he can play outside, so the guys at Spike Week call this draft strategy of Justin Fields and another starter 1.5 QB, which I like. Obviously, still got to survive 5 more picks without him getting taken. He is the top QB on the board, so no guarantee we get him, but we do have some backup options if we get sniped, as we tend to do, especially when I'm recording a video, even though it's not live streamed or anything. They still seem to hear us. That was a little freezing going on there. The Bateman pick. All right, one more pick. Let's see if we can do it. We did it. I don't know how excited we are about it, but we did it. So this draft accomplished a lot of things that I don't really like to do, but that I think are viable in this format. And that was, a lot of these kind of old. I'm going to take Wandell here. A lot of these old running backs and Justin Fields. We could consider taking Daniel Jones as our last player if he's on the board. I don't think Jalen McMillan's making it back to us. Like, people have kind of caught on to he should probably be going like a round or so earlier than he is. Like, he's a good enough prospect that he should be going out slightly earlier than he is. So, yep. Spike Week, we call this strategy 1.5 QB with Justin Fields. I don't really see the need to draft Russell Wilson at all this year. Like, his value is like okay, but he's like a very low ceiling player week by week, especially with Arthur Smith wanting to run so much. The only reason why you're taking Fields, even though he's a backup, is because basically like if he gets the starting job, all of a sudden your team becomes supercharged because you just added like a quarterback that would be taken in round 7 or 8, and you got him in round 17. I'm going to have my personal ownership percentage on Justin Fields be pretty low. Definitely not anywhere above 4%. Might be as low as 2%, but I want some in there. I'm guessing somewhere between 2 and 4% I end up. I think the 3 QB builds with Justin Fields actually make more sense to me because with how good QB is this year, you can actually get quite a bit of upside, right? You get something like Levis, Daniel Jones, and Justin Fields, where Daniel Jones is a high probability of being benched late in the year, but he'll definitely be playing at the beginning of the year, which is when you need the most help with Fields. Even if he's going to work out as a play, he's not starting week 1, I don't think. There is like the tiniest percent chance that he beats Russell Wilson out in camp, but I don't think it's going to be a real competition. So it would have to be like Russell Wilson just looks ass and washed, and they're like, we got to do something else. A.T. Perry is going to play X receiver for the Saints. Talked about him a bunch of times on videos, so I don't want to beat that to death for the people that actually follow me. Wide receiver is just pretty unexciting on the slate. Like Zay Jones and DJ Chark, yeah. They can have their weeks. I think McMillan and A.T. Perry just have way more upside than the other guys that are always available late here. So I kind of stick to them. But if Perry and McMillan are both gone and Daniel Jones is there, I'll probably just take the third QB, but I'm not going to be happy about it. That's for sure. So I guess I could do that. That is the order that I want these guys in. This is my last Chihuahua, so I'll probably take a little bit of a break from drafting, at least for like a day. Give the mind a chance to recuperate, and then probably draft a few puppies, like I said, maybe like 5 of them before schedule drops. Then probably a whole bunch after the schedule. It sucks, McMillan goes. How good are our wide receivers? Pretty good. Did start 4 in a row. We got the big fall on Deontay. We do have a double stack of sorts for Daniel Jones with Wandell and Tyrone. All right, let's do it. Let's do Daniel Jones. We'll have this be a 7 wide receiver group. So all in all, I would say I dislike this game quite a bit, but we drafted a bunch of players that I don't draft very much, which is not a bad thing to do. So let's look at this team one more time. Backfield's Daniel Jones is obviously like the upside of that is an A plus, but like on paper it looks pretty ugly. Considering it, like you really don't. These are like $1 auction bets down here. You know, if you were to equate the value of each round to like an auction strategy, like somebody did it and the first round pick is worth like $17 or $18 or something, and then pick like 15, or I think it was 16, 17, 18 are all like $1. So like where you spend that dollar does matter, because you know Kyron was a $1 pick and Puka was a $1 pick, so you can get some massive hits. The problem right now with wide receiver like that late is just like you don't have any information that could lead you to these people like you did eventually get with Puka. Uh, you know, there was Tank Dell last year who I was taking a bunch in their 18th round early. But like other than Perry and McMillan and a couple other guys, the Baltimore guys, it's just really thin down there. So this running back room I absolutely despise. Give this thing like a C. So it has the right elements that a zero RB room needs. Like, you know, Ramondre's a great pick. Connor kind of sucks in his old. Eckler sucks in his old. Elliott sucks in his old. But these are all guys that could gain touches, could hold on to roles. You don't really know what's going to go on. So you're just hoping for some chaos where they end up playing out better than they look on paper. Tracy is like a really nice, exciting player. It's kind of like a smaller Antonio Gibson. Obviously, Jalen Wright has a massive ceiling if something happens with A Chain. So I would say that this is like a C. I think our quarterback is like a B minus. This is like a C. Our wide receiver group, it's like an A, but maybe an A minus because we don't have an eighth. I'd prefer to have an eighth, but you know we have a really strong top four. We did get a pretty decent ADP dip on Deontay. Polk has quite a bit of upside, and we got him at a decent value. We got decent value on Robinson, so give an A minus to these wide receivers. I'm gonna give them just a solid A to tight end, because anytime you have Mark Andrews and then not a terrible tight end, you get an A. Alrighty, thanks for watching and good luck in your drafts, folks.